Happy Thursday afternoon, and most importantly, happy day before the 2020 Tokyo Olympic marathon races for both the women and the men. It's an exciting time. Always a big fan of these races because you never know what's going to happen in the big major ones, and the Olympics is no different. This is a challenging time. It's a challenging course with challenging weather. You never know what's going to happen. It can make for some pretty exciting things. That's what makes the Olympics, I think, so great. So what I want to do today was take a few minutes and talk about some pre-race predictions about what might be happening in the next couple of days with the marathon. And then just like you guys can't wait to see what's going to happen. So real quick, couple of just logistical things. So the women's marathon starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, which is 7 a.m. Saturday Japan time. Japan is about 13 hours. It's 13 hours ahead of time. So the race will be on coverage tomorrow, however you watch the Olympics, at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And the men's race will take place 6 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, which is 7 a.m. Sunday. And that's the last day of the Olympics, and it's always exciting because the marathon's the last day of the Olympics. It's the only event that takes place aside from the closing of ceremonies, and so that always puts a nice spotlight on the marathon. So again, tomorrow, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time for the women, and then 6 p.m. Eastern time Saturday for the men. That's the start of the races, and it will be an exciting one. So the course is, as you may know, not in Tokyo. It is actually going to take place in Sapporo, Japan, which is several hundred miles north of Tokyo. It's on the island that's right above the main Japanese island. And Sapporo, Japan, it's on the island, I guess it's called Hokkaido, which is, Sapporo is maybe better known to a lot of you as the capital of the brewery, one of the beer that you may often get when you go to Hibachi. So many things are in the city as well. Sapporo is just, the Sapporo Brewery is probably the most commonly claimed to fame for that particular country. So the marathon's taking place there, and the course is going to be it's a multi-lap course. So it starts kind of in their downtown park. It's called Odori Park, and I'm sure I'm messing up a lot of these words in Japanese, but it'll start in the park, 2 quick laps of the park, and then it heads out onto the main course. The main course is a big 13.1 mile loop around the city, and then there are 2 loops along the inner part of that same loop that are about 10K each, and then they finish back up in the park where they started. And so that is the course for the marathon. It would be an exciting course if you were a spectator, because there would be multiple points to watch the race, similar to any of you who might have seen the Olympic trials, the USA Olympic trials that took place in Atlanta. It was a course where you could see the athletes a lot of times. Unfortunately, still no spectators at the Olympics, even up in Sapporo, and so there won't be spectators along the course, but that is the layout of the course. What I think is interesting, if you look at the weather forecast, the weather looks good, no rain. The reason they moved to Sapporo from Japan is that since it is a little bit further north, they're hoping for slightly cooler temperatures. But honestly, if you look at the weather the last couple of days at 7 a.m., it's still been about 80 degrees outside, which is just horrific. I can't imagine running a marathon when it's 80 degrees outside, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. But that is what they're likely going to be dealing with. So it looks like no rain, high 70s, low 80s at the start, even at 7 a.m. And so I wish all the athletes good luck. But I think that is what's going to make for a very interesting race, because the body does very different things at 80 degrees Fahrenheit versus at 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And I think that's going to make it a much more tactical race versus the pure time trial race we might used to be seeing. Elevation-wise, I haven't seen a elevation profile for the course, but I've seen estimates based upon the other marathons that have taken place in and around the city. It looks like there is about 100 feet of elevation gain, which takes place around the 5K mark, which is on the big first loop. And it looks like you kind of go up a hill, about 100 feet of elevation, and then you don't come back down again. And so you're up at that point for the rest of that first lap, and then your 2 inner laps for after you complete the first big one, don't go back down that hill again. And so it looks like you just kind of go down, you come back up, and then you stay up there for the rest of the race. And so the last 37K look like it's relatively flat, which is interesting. And so if it's true, the total elevation gain is about 100 feet. That compares pretty closely to what the London Marathon looks like. And so that gives you a feel for the profile. And you contrast that with the New York City Marathon or the Boston Marathon, which is about 900 feet of elevation gain. So much closer to the flatter London course than it is to the more hilly Boston course. So that is the course and some of the highlights. Let's talk about the Americans. Let's talk about our chances. So on the American team, the 3 men who qualified at the Olympic trials last February, not this February, but February back in 2020 in Atlanta, you had Galen Rupp, who ran in 2:09. About 40 seconds after him was Jake Riley. And then you had Abdi Abdirahman, who came in after Jake. And so those are the top 3 guys that are on the U.S. Olympic team. Galen looks good, always looks good. He, like I said, ran a 2:09 in the trial. It wasn't particularly hot that day, but he has run Rio before. So he ran in Rio last year where the weather, it was humid and hot and humid in the summertime. He ran a 2:10 there. Jake ran the 2019 Chicago Marathon where he finished 9th. He ran a 2:10 there. It was pretty cool. I had a chance to see him at the Peachtree Road Race this year. He was the starter, which I thought was kind of fun. And Abdi is kind of the veteran of the team. Not only the veteran of the team, the veteran of the U.S. Olympic team. He is in his 5th Olympics, 44 years old, but the man can still run fast. On the women's side, our 3 qualifiers are Alafini Tulamuk, who ran 2:27 in the trials. Also at 2:27, closely behind Alafini, was Molly Seidel. And then the final member of our team is Sally Kipyego. Most notably, recently, Molly Seidel was 6th at the 2020 London Marathon. She was 2nd American woman after Sarah Hall, who had that fantastic 2nd place finish. And so that is the American team. So I guess the last part of it is what are predictions? Who's going to win gold, silver, and bronze? I think it's going to be an exciting race. I think it'll be exciting because there are no pacers. And so this isn't going to be a pure time trial race that typically you see at the Berlin Marathon, the London Marathon, where the Kenyan, the Ethiopian teams can run away with it because they have just much faster 2:01, 2:02, 2:03 speed. I think it's going to be a race that's going to be run much closer to 2:09, 2:10, which opens it up to a lot more people. And the reason why is that I think it'll be a tactical race because of the heat. I think people are going to want to feel it out, see other bodies adjusting to the heat, and go from there. So I think it's going to be a much tighter, close race throughout the course of it, and could throw some wild cards into it because the heat is always a big variable. You just don't know how your body's going to respond to heat that day, how your hydration is going to work. Okay, so now 4 predictions. Who do I think is going to win the gold, the silver, and the bronze? So for the gold medal, I think the winner is going to be Kitata from Ethiopia. The reason why is that he is the 2020 London champion, where he most recently beats Kipchoge. And so I think he has momentum on his side. He is the youngest of all the key contenders, and he also won the Ethiopian trials. I think he is running well, and I think he has a little bit of a psychological edge against Kipchoge. And so I think we're going to see a big upset, not only in the betting odds, but also just against what we've seen for a long time in the marathons, where Kitata from Ethiopia is going to eke out the gold medal. For the silver medal, I think a Kenyan will win, and I believe it will be not Kipchoge. I think it will be his teammate, Lawrence Turono. He's a great big marathon champion, 2019 Boston, Chicago champ, recently won the Valencia 2020 marathon. I think he runs well, and he's going to close out the podium. I actually think that Kipchoge will not end up on the podium. I think he is going to have a okay day, but not a good enough day to get into the top three. I think we're going to have another upset, which is that I am big fan of Galen Rupp. I think this is going to be his year again. I think the times will be right around what he can run. I think he has been training hard to run in the heat. I think he's been focused on that. He did very well in the Atlanta Marathon. I think he is laser focused on doing well in a race that is hot and humid, that can be tactical, which is going to open up possibilities for him when it's not just a pure speed contest. We can actually use tactics and hang in and hopefully have the right nutrition. So I think on the men's side, we're going to have Katana, Toronto, and Galen Rupp for gold, silver, and bronze. On the women's side, if you look at the betting odds, so the overwhelming favorite at negative 135 odds is from Kenya, Bridget Kosgei. The number 2 favorite is her teammate, Ruth Chepngetich, at a plus 350. In the third place, in the next kind of the third, fourth, and fifth place, women are all kind of above 600 odds. And so clearly the betting money is behind the two Kenyans, Kosgei and Chepngetich. So what are my predictions for gold, silver, and bronze? I think it's hard to not choose Bridget as the gold medalist. She has been so dominant recently. Her PR is so much better than the rest of the field. She has just been running strong the last 24 months, and I can't think of any reason why she doesn't have another great day in Japan. For number 2, I also like her teammate. I like Ruth Chepngetich. She was third at London. She was third even though she probably wasn't in her best form. She says she was recovering from some illness, and she still had a pretty good performance. Again, just another really solid runner. I find it hard to believe that she won't make it on the podium. For third place, who I really like, and I think this is the people's champion, and I would love to see her do even better than third place, is the Kenyan-born but Israeli competing athlete, and this is Lona Cheptai Salvador, and just love her story. If you haven't had a chance to read a little bit about her story, please do. She is not only a great athlete, great family person, great patriot for her country, and I think there's a really good story behind her. Her times are great. I mean, she just got done running, 2:17, the Tokyo Marathon back in March, and so she's got a lot of fitness that she's demonstrated this year. And so that was 2:17 form, which puts you right in the same ballpark with the two Kenyan runners. And I would love to see her get on the podium, if not even pull an upset. So I think it could be a very exciting race, given the heat, given all the conditions that are happening. It can make for some exciting times.